Hey, all right, we are going to do a tutorial today on a great move called thread the needle. I'm going to show you what this looks like from a couple of different directions, and then we're going to break it down into very small pieces. So here we go. From the front, thread the needle looks like this. From the side, it looks like this. I'm going to do that now really slowly. In the front, and from the side. Okay, now I'm going to start with one hoop at a time. I'm going to have my yellow hoop in my right hand. This is going to be an inside grip on the hoop. When we're talking about that, we're talking about what part of the hoop's are. Imagining the hoop like a clock face, my hand is going to be inside of it. I'm going to imagine now that this hoop is like a cup of coffee, and I am going to dump out that cup of coffee. So I am twisting my wrist such that whereas my thumb is now on the up side of my hand, it's now on the down side. Get used to that feeling of dumping out that cup of coffee a couple of times. And when that is feeling relatively comfortable to you, the next time we do this, instead of just dumping out the coffee, we're going to give that twist of the wrist a little bit more oomph to send the hoop into a single hand spin that is going to let us grip the hoop in the 9 o'clock position. Okay, so you can see that takes a certain amount of oomph. I'm not just kind of letting the hoop drop and my hand ends up at 12. I'm starting at 9. I'm giving it a good bit of oomph and ending up there at 9 o'clock again. All right, same thing with the left hand hoop. My left hand, I've got the purple hoop, also inside grip. This time, because it's my left hand, the place on the clock that my hand is now is the 3 o'clock position. So it's the corresponding position to the other hand. I'm going to start by practicing that dumping the coffee concept, right? In your non-dominant hand, typically less strong, this might take a little bit more getting used to, so be patient as you try this. Once that feels relatively comfortable, then we're going to give it more oomph and go for the full hand spin. Okay. Thread the needle is basically doing those 2 hand spins with each hoop at the same time, but we add a little bit of twist. Now that you have a sense of what that movement is, I'm going to show you again quickly from the front and from the side, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit more. So again, from the front, at speed, it looks like this. And slow, it looks like this. From the side, at speed, and slow. Okay, so what's happening here? What's happening is with my hands at those 3 and 9 position, I am bringing one hand back. I am drawing it back to the inner elbow of that opposite arm. So my yellow hoop is drawn back and my purple hoop is forward. I'm going to do those twists of the hoop towards each other, that dumping of the coffee concept, with my back arm being folded, twisting over my inner elbow. So this hand is going to twist, how's the best way to see this? Like that. This yellow hoop hand is going to twist over my elbow like that. Okay, so both of these are going to twist towards each other, and as they are overlapping, right? My hoops are overlapping, 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 and now they're not overlapping anymore. There is now space between them. When there is space between them, the arm that is on top, which is also the one that's in the back, so my yellow hoop at this point, you can see it is back further than my purple hoop, and you can see that my arms are crossed from doing that twisting motion, so it is on the top. Once those hoops no longer overlap, I'm going to send that hoop forward and bring the other hoop back to my opposite inner elbow. So whereas I had started with my yellow hoop drawn back, after I complete the move, the opposite hoop is drawn back. I'm going to show you that from the side. Twist them towards each other, towards each other, towards each other. When they're no longer overlapping, the back, which is also the top, arm hoop goes forward and the other arm goes back. Show you from the front again. First at speed and then slowly. Overlapping, forward, overlapping, forward, forward, forward. Slowly overlapping. Now there's space. That arm comes forward. Overlapping. That back top arm comes forward. Show you from the side. Overlapping. Once there's space, that arm goes forward. Overlapping. Whoa, that arm goes forward. Okay, one more time. Overlapping. That arm goes forward. So the things that you want to concentrate on are, one is making sure that you always end up at the inner elbow of the opposite arm. So every time you finish one set, if you will, one unit of this, your starting and ending position is always going to be the inner elbow, and it's going to alternate back and forth. The reason we go all the way back to our inner elbow is these hoops are going to wobble a bit in their planes as you go through this movement. So that length of our forearm gives us a fair amount of space for them to be wobbling without crashing into each other. If we only drew the hoops back to our inner wrist, they would be so close together that they'd really be smashing into each other a lot. The other thing to pay attention to is that you're always ending up in that 3 and 9 position. That is where you're going to have all of the power to do that wrist twist from, and that's going to take some oomph to get there, and it's really different than just kind of ending up at 12 o'clock. So that's going to give you some hand control practice and some real strength practice to get to those 3 and 9 positions. Another thing is to make sure, and this is hard in the beginning, you might find in the beginning that you feel like you're getting it, but you notice that actually you're always restarting with the same arm out front. So make sure that you're alternating, that you're that if I'm starting with my yellow arm drawn back to my yellow hoop arm drawn back to my inner elbow, my next start has my purple one drawn back to my inner elbow. Yellow's back, purple's back. Another way to think of that is that you always have the alternating hoop in front. So purple in front, yellow in front, purple in front, yellow in front. When you are starting out this move, it's going to really burn up your forearm muscles, or at least it did for me. So if that happens to you, just take it slowly. Be very patient as you learn this move. You will develop those muscles with time. And like so many hoop moves, this one is actually easier to do at speed. You need to do it slowly to begin with to kind of find the precision, to understand what it is you're trying to do here. But the momentum of it, smash! The momentum of actually going with some speed makes the move easier to accomplish. So be patient with yourself, have fun with it, and good luck with your thread the needle.